Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where today I'm back with Joe.
Hello.
He looks very normal and definitely okay.
Yep.
How was it in Mirrans?
Oh, it's awesome. You should take a visit sometime. It's so good.
We
should go there right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
But what about the whole thing with the Phyrexians?
Oh, that's fine. We should go anyway. We'll be fine. We should go.
You know, I'm almost convinced. Let's talk about the Phyrexians first, because what we have today are stories about Phyrexia OLB1. We're starting off with this look at Neyali. Neyali is one of the commander characters that is one of the two commander decks. She's the Mirran side. So this is basically a story from the Mirran Resistance point of view. And it's one of the only ones we get in this entire deal from that perspective. And it's really cool because it all takes place in the Quiet Furnace. So each of the different layers of Phyrexia are controlled by different predators. And so the Quiet Furnace is basically Urabrask's domain. Okay. Where he, at first, was just ignoring the Mirrans because he didn't really feel like completing anybody. But in more recent times, he's made it to where it's, completion is a thing that they can request.
Huh.
So the basic idea is that, like, if a
you
person
gotta fill out a form to be completed?
Sort of. It's more like the world is falling apart. I recognize that there's very few Mirrans left. If you join us, you will now be completed. And if you're completed, you can be with all the other people that were completed that you used to know. And that's really where this story starts off. Is Neyali is worried about one of her friends who was a rear guard, and she had basically wound up disappeared. Like she disappeared.
Is this why you were asking me about Vanguard terminology?
No, that was because I was defending Errol in Fortnite. And I'm always at the front of the pack, and I always get shot first.
That is true.
Yeah, because I'm the Vanguard. Because I'm telling everybody where to go. The point is, is that basically in this story, she's looking for her friend, and her friend basically gets lost in one of the various chutes and stuff that goes through. Because obviously, Phyrexians still attack them. Like a Phyrexian goblin is still a goblin. A Phyrexian, they're still going to try and hurt you in some capacity. It's just that getting scratched is all it takes for somebody to turn into a Phyrexian now. So in this case, Neyali is looking for her friend, and she finds her. She backtracks, leaves everybody at the camp. She backtracks, she goes down a bunch of little caves and stuff, and she eventually gets to this chamber. There's this lava pit. She sees her friend on the ground, just frozen, and looming over her is some unknown Phyrexian. It looks like it used to be an Auriok. Aurioks are the white-aligned humans. There's a human of every color when it comes to Mirrodin because the Five Suns really warped everything around the place. Because Mirrodin is an inherently colorless place.
The Moriok, the Auriok, the Volshok, the blue one.
Norok. And Sylvok.
Sylvok, that's the one I was forgetting.
Yeah, Sylvok. Yeah.
I also forgot Norok, but that's dope.
Yeah, it's just blue. It's probably nothing.
They're blue, but dope. So,
basically what happens is Neyali, she sees her friend there, and she's like, oh snap, I gotta save my friend. So she just punts the Phyrexian into the lava pit. But the thing is, the Phyrexian doesn't fight back. If anything, it just looked like it had its hand out to her friend and was beckoning her to join them. And so
come to the lava with me.
Well, no, just become Phyrexian. And so when she punts that Auriok Phyrexian into the lava, she goes to her friend and is like, are you okay? What's wrong? Are you hurt? And she's checking her. She's like, no, I'm not infected or anything. It didn't do anything to me. And she goes, why didn't it do anything to you? She goes, it was my mother. And so there's this problem of the things that are attacking us have our family's faces. And it was speaking to me as if it were my mother, telling me that I should join her and be part of that family. Yeah. And so that's that's the red method of turning somebody. And so basically she's really worried about her friend, and they go back to the camp and they talk about it. And her friend's like, my mother was really messed up beforehand because the Phyrexians happened. It was a whole deal, and she was always anxious. She was always stressed. She would take out her aggression and her pain and her how scared she was on me. She describes all these things because, yeah, it's very sad. But then she describes how the mom was as a Phyrexian and how she seemed at peace. She seemed happy. And then she saw it as an opportunity.
So the Mirrans are starting to see completion as a good thing.
That's the problem. Neyali obviously is like, no, that's terrible. We don't need to do that.
That's good. Completion might just be a good thing.
I see you may have a point, but no. See,
Why not? You can become one with the mother of machines.
the mother of machines. You don't want to become one with that.
Why not?
Okay, so basically, Neyali is going through this whole thing. She has her bird, Athari. It's one of the phoenixes. Phoenixes are one of the few things that are basically able to like survive in this environment. They're considered to be a symbol of the Mirran resistance, and so they have like a little phoenix like hatchery, and they're trying to raise new ones. And Athari is like one of the best ones, and it understands Nahiri very well.
Card-wise, it's our second legendary phoenix.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the other one's red-black, right? That's right. So, basically what happens, she goes off and she goes to sleep. She wakes up really worried about her friend, so she goes to check on her and finds out she left a note. She told her the exact location she was going, which happens to be Slobad's domain. And she knows it's Slobad's domain. And she knows that Slobad, in like legends, was somebody who defended Mirrodin. And now there's a possibility that he's not going to be on the same side, obviously, because he's Phyrexian. So she goes over with a small group, and the group is comprised of essentially like a few Mirrans, but more importantly, there's this old woman and her 3 sons. And those 4, they're like battle hardened. So they're going with them. They lost their father to the Phyrexians. They wanted to like be able to defend whoever they could, protect their new family. So they go on their little journey over into the little volcanic Phyrexian furnace deal. I'm skipping over some of the more like atmospheric bits. I highly suggest you read through this story. It's very fun to read through. It's very interesting. But essentially what happens...
It's not as depressing as he's making it sound.
It's more depressing. You know, Joe, you're saying some really weird stuff. Anyways, Neyali then takes everyone to this location. She finds Slobad and she's like, okay, this is like Slobad's arena kind of thing. And she looks in the middle and she can see her friend. And so there's this sense of impulsiveness that the character has been struggling with this whole time, where she just jumps into things. And now she's here and she sees that and she knows it's a trap. She's completely aware that this is a trap. Her friend is in the middle. She does not look completed, but she's just sitting there chained up, and she knows something's going to happen. But she's like, I'm going to go in on my own. And the old lady and her 3 sons are like, you need somebody to go with you to defend you. And so she's like, okay, just you guys, just me. If anything goes wrong, you run away. Do you understand? They're like, yes. And so they go in, and Slobad's like, hello!
You were excited when the Slobad card was revealed.
I was extremely excited when I saw Slobad. Just to see him return, it's like, yes. Him and Venser, it's like, those are Phyrexians now.
Like, I know that puppet.
Yeah, exactly. So, basically what happens, they go into this whole deal, they arrive, and she tries to, like, free her friend, and then, like, this cage shoots up around them. And Slobad's like, okay, guys, I'm here to offer you some help. I know that you've been struggling, I know you've been having some troubles, I know Phyrexia as a whole is trying to hurt you, but consider joining us.
It won't hurt you if you're part of it.
Exactly. That's the way he's looking at it. And to help make his point, one of the Phyrexians behind him is the long-lost father of that family. Yes. This is like the reddest way to try and turn somebody into a Phyrexian. You just keep showing them love and affection through completion. Which are things that are like, it's just a perverted form of love, which is what's so cool about it. So, essentially, Slobad sells all the things, and they're super hesitant. And Neyali, she sent out her Phoenix so that the Phoenix could do what it needs to do. And she's like, okay, look. I want them to go. You let them leave. I will stay. I'll sacrifice myself, and everything will be fine. And Slobad's like, okay. And so he puts Neyali into a little cage, and then the other one, her friend, he starts up this whole process where she's completely like, she's eager to become completed. Because she doesn't want to feel the pain and the fear and all the other terribleness that comes with being basically not Phyrexian. Of being conscious of yourself. And so, it's a really messed up moment because you don't really see that happen with Phyrexia. Phyrexia in the past has used stuff to manipulate people. Urte was manipulated by Belb. Eladamri was intended to be manipulated by Belb. Krovax, he was manipulated by Selenia. Volrath was manipulated essentially just by the fact that he hated Gerard. Even Gerard, later on, is manipulated in the Phyrexian arena when he falls in, when he sees Hannah.
Hannah?
Blue, white, likes artifacts.
Wrath.
Boy. So, the point is that there's all these different moments that happen, and that Phyrexians don't normally use your emotional weakness in the way of being like, we love you, come join us. That's not something they normally do, but that's what Red does.
It's true, we're a lot less barbaric than we were in the past.
We?
They are a lot less barbaric than they were in the past.
Cool. So, basically what happens is that they go through this whole deal, and the Phoenix shows up, and it breaks her out of her prison, and she basically goes on this whole like rampage, breaking through through the Phyrexians, trying to get home. And they eventually do break on through to the other side. The only downside is Rayana, her friend that she had, chooses to remain completed, and she knows that she can't stop that. There's no way for her to actually save her friend. They chose that existence. They made their decisions. And so Neyali salutes her, and then she goes. She leaves. And that's how this story ends. It's just this little snippet of this world and how these people are in so much desperation.
The point of the story was, my friend, I can save her. I don't want to be saved. I can't save her.
Essentially. That's why I cut through a good chunk of it, because that is what it boils down to. If anything, it's just to give you an idea of the kind of stuff that's happening on Phyrexia from the Mirrans' perspective. Tomorrow's episode, or next Legendary Lores episode, is actually going to be about the Phyrexian perspective.
Delightful.
And what Phyrexians are going through. Go ahead and close this out.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to go ahead and catch you guys next time with some more Legendary Lore. Go ahead and leave a like if you like the video, subscribe, and join us.
What?
What?